In 2010, when I received the honor of being inducted into the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, the then Hall board had a bit of a dilemma. I was invited the previous year to host the very first Boxing Hall of Fame ceremony in 2009. And since it would have been kind of awkward to have me induct myself, the board decided they had to find someone to take my place. That day, this guy told me how everyone else felt the day they looked forward to having that induction. He inducted me. Well, today, I get to induct you, pal. He was born on October 4th, 1967, in New York City. He began a love affair with boxing almost the same way I did. In my case, it was watching the George Foreman-Ron Lyle fight in 1976. Just a few years later, he watched the first Marvin Hagler-Vito Antuofermo fight. He began passionately following the sport of boxing. He began a career in the 1990s, writing for both Ring and Boxing Digest magazines. He moved to Florida in 2003 and added the Palm Beach Post and Fightnews to his list of publications. And he also worked as an actor. He actually earned a Barney Award from the Boxing Writers Association of America, and he also was invited to begin casting votes for the International Boxing Hall of Fame. He also began a nationally syndicated boxing radio show called Through the Ropes. He interviewed some of the biggest names in boxing history. But his biggest success came after becoming a ring announcer. He was given his first opportunity by Florida Boxing Hall of Fame promoter Jeff Gibson. He would go on to ring announce all over the country for some of the biggest promotions in boxing, all the major networks, HBO, Showtime, and ESPN. Our paths have crossed many times here in Florida. On numerous occasions, we worked together, trading places. He'd be ring announcer, I'd do play-by-play, and the next fight, we'd switch the roles. We've also had some rather odd encounters, such as being hired by different partners in the same promotional company. We would show up at the same time at a fight. We would eye each other wearing tuxedos and basically said at the same time, "Hi, great to see you. What are you doing here?" Well, when that would happen, we'd either split the show or one of us would just get paid, sit back, and watch the other one work. One of us had very easy money in our pocket. But it's not just boxing where he's been successful. He is also a financial consultant and even finds time to tour as part of a Rolling Stones music review. He may not be Mick Jagger, but he certainly has found satisfaction in his work. He continues to be a credit to the boxing world, and I personally am very proud of his success. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, class of 2023, ring announcer Marc Lichtenfeld.
Stopped smiling since I got here Friday. So this is what it looks like when real life exceeds your wildest dreams. When I was a kid, growing up and you know, watching boxing in my parents' basement, I certainly never dreamed of a moment like this. All I ever wanted to do was somehow be involved in this crazy magical sport. And once I got involved, all I ever wanted to do was work. So this is, you know, this is surreal. A huge thank you to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, especially Steve Canton. Steve, you've been a supporter since I landed in Florida 20 years ago. Bob Alexander, I am so thrilled that you're here for all the obvious reasons, but of course, as you mentioned, when I was part of your induction ceremony, and as a fellow ring announcer, you know what we go through, and so it's so special that you're inducting me. So thank you. I also want to thank John Dodano from the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. As Bob mentioned, Jeff Gibson gave me my start, put me in the ring for the first time on ESPN. So thank you to Jeff. The second show I ever worked was for Don King, and don't worry, I'm not going to go through every single fight that I've ever done, but. That was in 2007, and I've been working for Don King Productions ever since. And there are so many people at Don King that are responsible for me being here. Dana Jameson, Bobby Goodman, Teddy Singleton, of course Vonda, and John Mosayunas. John, thank you for being one of my biggest champions. And of course, Don King as well. I've worked more shows for Gary Shaw Productions than I think for any other promoter. Gary put me on TV many times, and a very big thank you to Gary and John Beninati. I'm also very happy to be the ring announcer for Pro Box Promotions. It's a great show, so if you haven't seen it, definitely tune in. We do a fantastic job. Gary Jonas, thank you, and of course Ruben De Jesus, thank you for continuing to hire me and for putting on amazing shows. Thank you to everyone at the Florida Boxing Commission. I hope that I have made your job a little bit easier, as you have definitely made my job easy. It's just a great group of officials. I also have a lot of people here that I'm so touched that our friends are here, Megan, Jean, Corey, and Victoria, and although Ancestry.com may disagree, you guys are family, so thank you. To my good friend, Brian Tilley. Brian and I started in boxing around the same time, and it has been so fun to go through the journey with you, and thank you for always having my back and also clearing bodies out of the way so that the camera had a good shot for me. So I hope that we're here celebrating you very, very soon. I also want to acknowledge Julia Guth. Julia is the CEO of the company that I work for, and a little story about Julia. When I had just started the company, I'd been there for 3 months, and I booked my first Showtime gig, and about 2 weeks before the show, Julia called me and said that there was a company meeting up in Baltimore, and it was the same day as the broadcast, so I couldn't go to the meeting, so I told her I was going to be out of town, and which was true. And so I kind of hoped that nobody would notice that I was missing, or that you know, that I wasn't there, and that nobody would happen to tune in to Showtime that night. But I guess playing hooky and being on national TV isn't the best way to go about that. So she quickly found out, and she said to me, as soon as she found out, "Why didn't you tell me that you do this? This is so cool. Let me know the next time you're on." So, Julia, thank you for being the coolest boss ever. And there's no chance that I would be here without your support. So thank you very much. To my mom, I guess all those nights watching the fights and playing title bout in the basement somehow paid off. Who would have thunk that? Thank you for your love and support, and for always being excited when I was excited. And I hope Dad and Grandpa and Johnny Addy are looking down and smiling. Julian and Kira, I know I'm maybe a little bit different than some of the other dads. Sometimes I have a little bit of an erratic schedule, so thank you for putting up with that. And I hope you're a fraction as proud of me as I am of you, and it means the world to me that you're here. Holly, there is no chance that I would be standing here without you. You have helped me make so many of my dreams come true, including the most important one, which was marrying you. So thank you. Thank you to all of the boxers who I have worked with. I hope that my work honored your skill and courage, and it has truly been a privilege to share those few minutes in the ring with you. So thank you very much for all that you do. And I want to leave with a very brief story. When I was on HBO for the first time, it was the Glenn Johnson, Chad Dawson title fight, and it was HBO World Championship Boxing. It was prime time, and I was a little bit nervous. And I was waiting for the main event to walk out, and I guess the strain was showing on my face, and the late, great Harold Letterman called me over, and, Mark, come here. I said, yeah, Harold? He said, Mark, smile, you're on HBO. And so I did smile, and it totally broke the tension for me, and I've remembered Harold and what he said to me every single fight. So every fight, whether it's a world title fight on network TV, or a club show with fighters making their pro debuts, I do smile. And because that 14-year-old me watching the fights in my parents' basement can't believe that I get to be a part of this sport, and the 14-year-old me certainly can't believe that he's standing here today, and so I will continue to smile. Thank you so much.